Unfortunately, if you go back to previous periods of history, we have small wars now, and historically, small wars somehow or another wind up turning into big wars. It's not good. We would think that people would learn the lessons of history, but they never do. And so when I say, if you go back to before World War I, this is the sort of thing that started happening in small wars. As recently as, say, 1912, the German and British royal families vacationed together, partied together, et cetera, et cetera. And a couple of years later, they were slaughtering each other in the trenches. So these things can change and do change. And I don't like the signs that I see. I would like to think that we're smart enough to stay away from war, but mankind has never been smart enough to avoid wars. I see the signs are moving in that direction. I have no idea what's going to happen. I would hope that all of us, mankind, would be smart enough to know, let's not do that again, because it's never been good for anybody, but we will see. I can look at a globe and I know that Taiwan's going to be part of China again someday. I don't know when the someday is, unfortunately, but if I were China, and I'm not, they certainly don't listen to me, I would just wait, because, look at your globe. There's no way that Taiwan cannot be part of China someday, and it will be. Will it be by war? I hope not. China seems to be smart enough to just wait, because they know it's going to be theirs again someday, and I hope they will just wait. The U.S. keeps antagonizing. Nancy Pelosi went to Taiwan. American politicians keep going to Taiwan. That's poking the Chinese in the face. I wish they wouldn't. So far, China just seems to be patient, and I hope that will continue. My view has been, I think for 30 or 40 years, that China was on the rise again. Now everybody knows it. Now I'm not the only one. I was ridiculed back in the old days. I remember in the 80s, I would come back and say, China, 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 and everybody would say, no, 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 Japan, Japan, Japan. You may remember, you're not old enough to remember those days, but China has certainly risen dramatically. Now it's the second largest or maybe largest economy in the world, depending on who's measuring. And it's going to continue. If you look at the United States, we had some horrible setbacks in the last 150 years as we were rising to become the most successful country in the 20th century. My goodness, we had bankruptcies, bear markets, recession, depressions. We had all kinds of problems. That's the way the world works. That's history. That's normal to have setbacks. So China is having and will continue to have, and maybe they'll have some horrible setbacks. We, the U.S., certainly did. It's normal. I don't see anybody else out there that's rising like China has been rising and has continued to rise. Well, the Indians talk a good game, but so far it's been mainly talk. Mr. Modi is very popular everywhere he goes, but it's mainly talk so far. There's many very, very smart Indians. It's a wonderful place. If you can only visit one country in your life, I would urge you to go to India. It's an astonishing country. But is it going to be? It's going to be a great country again someday, but not anytime soon. Not like China. So I own Chinese shares. It's down. I'm looking for investments in China right now in the stock market. I haven't bought anything recently, but since it's down, and there's pessimism, I am looking, but I don't have anything yet. I try to find things that are down the most, and so, things like tourism, travel, entertainment, those are the things that have been hurt badly by the, whatever you want to call it, that's happening in China. So I'm looking for the things that are down, but I have not bought anything recently. I don't see cryptocurrencies becoming money because the governments do not want that competition. Yes, we do have Bitcoin as being accepted more and more, but I don't think it's a legitimate currency anywhere yet, except maybe El Salvador. But El Salvador only has 6 million people, so I don't think that's going to change the world. I don't own any cryptocurrencies. I never have. I'm not short any. I've never been short any. I wish I'd bought it when it was $1. I wish I'd bought IBM in 1914. I wish a lot of things, looking back in history. But in my view, just to repeat, and you said it well, if cryptocurrencies become legitimate threats to governments, I don't think most governments are going to accept. I don't think the U.S. is going to say, okay, this is money now, but if you want to use that money, you can use their money. You don't have to use our money. That's not the way Washington or London or other places work. Silver and gold are traded all over the world and have been for hundreds of years. The U.S. at one time outlawed it, but that's because gold was the currency, was accepted as the currency in those days. So no, I don't see, as I said, if crypto becomes a threat to governments, to their money, they will probably do something. But so far, it's not a threat. It's just a trading vehicle. I fully expect that eventually currencies are going to be on the computer. It's much more efficient. It's cheaper. It's better for many people. And governments love it because, as you point out, they know everything you do. They'll call you up one day and say, you've been drinking too much coffee this month. Don't drink so much coffee anymore. No, they'll know everything you do. They'll know everything we do. Governments love that. I don't particularly like it. I think it's horrible. But governments have the guns. I don't have any guns, so they will do what they want. And I suspect, and it should happen, that currency, money will be on the computer someday. It's not good for you and me, but it's certainly good for the governments. When paper money came along, people didn't think it was inevitable, but historically we can look back and see that it was inevitable. I don't like it, as I say, but I don't see that it's not going to happen because every government in the world likes it. As you point out, many governments are already working on computer money. They love it. Everybody has to make their own decision about that. And as you point out, some are making it in New Zealand. I mean, New Zealand's a nice place, but I don't think I'd want to live there. But it's a fantastic country, and a lot of people like living there. I have no idea where to sit at if the world's going to come to an end, but it's a good time to be an old American, because all of these problems that America's going to have in the future, I'm not going to be around. It's not a good time to be a young American. I have 2 teenage daughters. The problems they're going to face in their lifetime are going to be huge. But that's true of every country, especially countries like America. So don't worry. We will have a 2025 and a 2035, and some people will do extremely well. Some will suffer very badly. The key, of course, is to be one of those who does well and not who does badly. The way you become one of those is you stay with what you know. You don't listen to hot tips. You don't listen to hot tips from anywhere, including on the television, including on the computer. If you stay with what you know and put your money and your assets into things that you know a lot about, you'll probably be okay. You know, if I told you to buy something and you bought it and it went up, you wouldn't know what to do. You don't know why you bought it. If it went down, you wouldn't know what to do. But you wouldn't know what to do because you don't know why you bought it in the first place. So if you stay with what you know, you can come through anything. Again, if you're not interested in wheat, maybe you can expand your knowledge of wheat, and maybe you can invest in wheat. But it's usually the people who are most successful are the people who have a passion about something and they stay with that, and that's where they invest when they find new opportunities. Figure out what you love the most. Now, everything I thought when I was 20 was wrong about me, about the world, about everything. So I don't pay too much attention to some of the things they say because I know they're still too young to really know what they're talking about. I eventually learned, many people eventually learned. So the thing is to if you can figure out what you love the most, figure it out and pursue that. And that's what I'm trying to teach them.